Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another installment of the Retro Entertainment Archive. In this video, I want to talk about one of the influential elements that created what we know today as classic horror, and that is the role and impact that German Expressionism certainly had on the film genre. In particular, there are certain films that a lot of, if not all of, film enthusiasts and horror fans are certainly familiar with from the silent era. And these particular films, in fact, two or three of them definitely will be familiar to most, if not all of you. So, with that in mind, in this installment we'll be talking about the influence and impact that German Expressionism had on the classic horror genre as we know it. So please join me at the desk as we get into German Expressionism. And I think you'll find this is an interesting and informative topic, so we'll get started right away. Thank you very much for joining me, and before I continue any further, I want to thank all those who have continued to stick with me throughout the course of these videos, and thank you very much for subscribing. It is most appreciated. And if you like the past videos that I've made, please by all means like, share, and subscribe. And if you haven't already, then please do so. It would be most appreciated and would certainly help the channel grow, and it'll certainly give me the encouragement and the impetus to continue to do these videos. So it's most appreciated. Thank you very much. Now, I guess we'll get into the meat of the video here. Now, I want to, well, I'm going to be referring to notes here, so just please bear with me. Oh, and here's here's a little bit of German here. I think I may butcher it, but please bear with me here as I do this. So, all right. Hallo, liebe Damen und Herren, und willkommen zurück zu einem weiteren Video. I know I butchered that, but that's basically, in English, hello dear ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. So, anyhow, now, I guess what we should do is first discuss a little bit about what German Expressionism is and how it impacted what we consider to be classic horror. I'll be referring to in the notes here. Now, German Expressionism was an artistic movement in the early 20th century that emphasized the artist's inner emotions rather than attempting to replicate reality. German Expressionist films rejected cinematic realism and used visual distortions and hyper-expressive performances to reflect inner conflicts. And that certainly is reflected in a major way in some of the, well, in most, if not all of the films I'll be discussing, the silent films from Germany. And it definitely has influences in the modern era in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and so on. These developments were part of a larger expressionist movement in North and Central European culture in fields such as architecture, dance, painting, sculpture, writing, and cinema itself. In essence, German Expressionism was meant to explore the darker corners of humanity as well as its psychology. By 1920, a number of influential film directors made their mark on German cinema, establishing the beginning of themes that would have far-reaching effects on modern film today. Now, some of the German Expressionist directors are familiar to film enthusiasts, such as F.W. Murnau, Fritz Lang, and Robert Wein. They developed unconventional storytelling for the masses, with stories of despair, betrayal, and the occasional sign of hope, establishing staples of what is considered the horror genre today. In other words, the German Expressionist directors mentioned laid the essential groundwork for what we know as the main familiar themes and staples of the genre itself, like foreboding and unnerving architecture, long and deep shadows, exaggerated movement and physical gesturing, and melodramatic reactions to unfolding events. And basically, the silent films of the late 1910s and the 20s, thankfully, have a lot of them have been preserved. Not all of them, but I mean a lot of them that we are familiar with have certainly been preserved over the years through physical media, VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, and Blu-ray. And thank goodness, though, that a lot of the boutique labels have made the effort and the endeavor to preserve these classics, and they should be preserved for future viewing, for future enjoyment as well, and especially for the enjoyment of cinema fans, film enthusiasts and whatnot, and especially the horror fans out there. Now, just want to... Oh, actually, yeah, that reminds me. There is a list of films that I want to just briefly go over. And now, of course, one of the most impactful, one of the most famous, is The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which was released in 1920 by director Robert Wein. And it's considered the quintessential work of German Expressionist cinema, and it tells the story of an insane hypnotist, Werner Krauss, who uses a brainwashed somnambulist, Conrad Veidt, to commit murders. The film features a dark, twisted visual style with sharp-pointed forms, oblique, curving lines, structures, and landscapes that lean and twist in unusual angles, and shadows and streaks of light painted directly onto the sets. Now, as I say, this is the quintessential German Expressionist film, and it even had its impact on other silent films of that era in Germany and elsewhere in Europe and also in America. Also, there is the Golem in 1920 by directors Karl Bose and Paul Wegener. And this concerns a rabbi creating the Golem, a giant creature made of clay, and in order to protect the Jews of Prague from persecution. There is also Destiny in 1921, which was directed by Fritz Lang. The film follows a woman desperate to reunite with her dead lover. It also follows three other tragic romances set in a Middle Eastern city, in Venice, in Italy, and in the Chinese Empire. And of course, we go into yet another classic of silent cinema, and especially of horror cinema in general, and that is Nosferatu in 1922, which was directed by F.W. Murnau. And that should be very familiar to you folks. It's about Graf Orlok, a grotesque vampire who preys upon the wife of his estate agent and brings plague into their town of, I believe it's Visborg in the story, if I'm not mistaken. If I am in error, please please let me know in the comments. And also there's Dr. Mabuse, the Gambler, which was directed by Fritz Lang. A criminal mastermind named Dr. Mabuse, using disguises and hypnosis, begins to amass a fortune, with gambling and murder factoring into his plans. And also there's another film by Robert Vine called The Hans of Orlach, which starred Conrad Veidt. After losing his hands in an accident, a world-famous pianist, Conrad Veidt, receives transplanted hands that once belonged to a murderer, which of course causes no end of mayhem and psychological terror to the main character and his wife. And also, as well, there is Faust from 1926, directed by F.W. Murnau. The demon Mephisto has a bet with an archangel that he can corrupt a righteous man's soul and destroy in him what is divine. If he succeeds, the devil will win dominion over earth. Another famous film. And also, just to point out as well, that even The Cat and the Canary, an American film directed by German Paul Lenny, certainly had its impact as well on future films in the 30s and 40s. And this, The Cat and the Canary, if you're familiar, it deals with an heir to a family fortune. And basically, if she is declared sane by a doctor, she will inherit the fortune. However, there is a dangerous madman known as the Cat who is loose in the area, and the main character fears for her life, obviously, as this murderous madman prowls throughout this mansion and tries in essence to kill her to gain a fortune for himself. And also another famous, very famous silent film, Metropolis from 1927, and it's directed by Fritz Lang. A highly stylized futuristic city where a beautiful and cultured utopia exists above a bleak underworld populated by mistreated workers. When the privileged youth Frieder discovers the grim scene under the city, he becomes intent on helping the workers. He befriends the rebellious teacher Maria, but this puts him at odds with his authoritative father, leading to greater conflict. And also, there's another famous film, The Man Who Laughs, also starring Conrad Veidt, and this was directed by Paul Lenny in 1928. This might be familiar in terms of the title character Gwynplaine being an influence on the creators of the Batman character in terms of creating his villainous counterpart, the Joker. One of the influences of that, anyhow. Disfigured by a king as a child, an 18th century clown again becomes the pawn of royalty and the star of a freak show of a traveling carnival. And Gwynplaine tries to regain his dignity through many adventures in the film. And that is the synopsis for the most famous of the silent German Expressionist films. And I do have some Blu-rays to recommend, definitely. Some of them that I've talked about. For example, we have, and most, if not all of them, are from Kino, the Kino Classics. So this one is Dr. Mabuse, the Gambler. I definitely recommend this one for sure. Also, the Complete Metropolis, the very famous sci-fi horror film here, directed ably and quite intelligently by Fritz Lang. And also here is the Golem, the story of that gigantic clay figure brought to life. And here we have Faust, F.W. Murnau's Faust. And the two silent horror masterpieces that I will be definitely featuring in other videos coming up soon. Definitely the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, obviously. Make sure I don't get too much glare there, sorry about that. And yes, I will definitely be talking about this film for sure. And of course, the all-time vampire silent horror masterpiece. Oh, there we are, Nosferatu. Now this particular one here, this copy is not from Kino Lorber or Kino Classics. This is from Eureka, and this is a Region 2 Blu-ray. However, if you do have a Blu-ray player or some other means of playing Blu-rays, either a computer or a home theater system, and if you have the ability to let it play all regions, then yes, I definitely recommend this particular one here because it has a lot of special features in it. Yes, I definitely recommend this. This is a great Blu-ray. If you can get a copy of it, please by all means do so, and I will be talking about this film also in a future installment in October. And yep, again, German Expressionism certainly has an impact on the horror films of the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. It cannot be overstated enough. And it certainly has lasted the rigors of time, and certainly Nosferatu and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari certainly has withstood the rigors of time and the developments of cinema as we know it. And yes, I definitely recommend all of these classic horror films, classic silent horror films, and I can't stress enough how much I enjoy silent cinema, and especially the uncanny, fantastic, and the otherworldliness of these particular films here, and other silent films as well. So that will conclude this look into an aspect of the horror genre. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, and until the next video, take care, and so long for now.